Hey, and welcome to DeGregorio's desk session 8. Um, I'm doing a dual purpose setup here, so I have the backdrop and a neutral thing, and it's because I have had a series of self tapes, and rather than reconfigure, I figured I'd just sort of jump in, set up, and get this week's going with a theme of some kind of progress in some of my hopefulness and how I'm gonna have to move forward with this. We have to eat, sleep, we have to uh, see our wives, husbands, significant others. If we have kids, we have to do all that in our pursuits of the arts. And because I've been lucky to sort of have a certain lifestyle, I can fixate too much. And so now I am happily and luckily and fortunately interrupted process-wise this week to put in 2 auditions and some good ones, and I'm very excited about that because it's been so slow as an actor in LA, probably all over, with all the fear setting in and whatnot. It's just exciting to get um, 2 in a week. One of the exciting elements of it is this time last week, almost exactly. This time last week, I was jumping back and forth between football and commercials, and I started a film and on HBO, and I caught it right at the beginning, and I saw a casting director casting, and I recognized the name, and it had been someone I had seen right before things went completely self-tape, I guess in 2018, maybe 2019. And this casting director was fantastic, really friendly, really supportive, kept bringing me in, kept bringing me in, kept bringing me in. I read for 3 or 4 different roles on the show, still didn't manage to get on it, which was kind of a bummer. But they tell you to count your victories, and an ally like that is not a victory, but it's an ally. And people don't waste their time, nevertheless yours. They don't waste their time to see you over and over if they didn't like you. But I'd lost the thread a little bit, and I wasn't paying attention. And so when I saw her name flash on the screen, I said, you know what? Let me look back, and I sourced out emails via saving everything. The hoarding of my emails paid off because I had her name, I had old information, I had a little bit more to sort of arm myself. And then I pay annually for IMDb Pro. I went to her page, found out that she had direct contact, which many casting directors do not, but it was an email. And I'm sitting around on a Saturday watching football, and I said, you know what? This is something I wouldn't have done for the life of me. I wouldn't have done many years, all my years before. So I said, I haven't heard from her since 2019. I can't get less feedback. She can't ice me anymore. So if I send an email and she's off put by it, oh well, I'm staying the exact same. You know what I mean? So I composed an email saying, and this is the hard part. You think you got to lure them, and in all these business blogs you read or information, make sure your subject is a captivating or provocative or something. And all I could come up with was, saw your name in the credits. And I congratulated her because going to her IMDb page, I saw how much work she had done since the time she brought me in, and it was impressive. And I said, congratulations on the continued success. You were so cool to me and so kind, and you brought me in for this. And I had the specifics. You brought me in for this, that, and this, and the other. All the roles she had brought me in for. And I didn't really say, oh, shucks, it would have been nice. I said, it was just so great, and it reminded me to reach out because you were so cool in the live audition days, which are long gone. Then I listed some of the things that I'd accomplished since we'd been in touch, and I assured her that my self-tape game was on point and that I looked forward to showing her more work. And I just said congratulations again, thanks again, and happy Halloween. That was last Saturday. And in that endeavor to go out of a zone of I don't know, if the futility of cold calling or cold emailing, I had another audition with another casting director that came from me just sort of putting it out there that I keep watching the credits, and I said, wow, this casting director that I have a personal relationship, I see that they cast it. And I made a joke. It was, let me know if you need somebody to slap the lead guy around, because I think I'm a tough guy, at least fictionally tough guy. And it was innocuous, and it was, again, to say congratulations because it's a big show, and why not tell your friend, looks like you're busy, not one of his particular shows. They all have different responsibilities in the big offices, right? So that audition came through in the middle of the week, and I was very fixated on that one. And I guess the theme of this desk session is fixation. I was fixated on this one because it was the bigger one. It was the more lucrative. It was the more high-end show. And I really, put what I could into it. My thing with tapes, and this is off the beaten path of talking about the one-man show, but I will bring it back. I like to get them in early, but I also have rushed them sometimes and suffered because I was trying to feed the idea of getting in early versus, take your time, germinate, let it marinate, do what you're going to do with the role before you jump through the hoop, and use, not all of the deadline, but a lot of the deadline. But I had reasons I had to get it in early, and it wasn't cumbersome dialogue. So I knocked it out, and then I fixated, and then I went back to Actors Access to look at the instructions because you always forget. And I was literally in Actors Access, the platform, and a live C-mail came in while I was just poking around to get the taping instructions of this audition. Another audition came in, and guess who it was from? It was from the casting director who I cold emailed right away, within a week, less than a week from, yes, this is a Saturday I'm shooting this, and I was emailing her last Saturday, so in less than a week's time, and now I have just completed that tape. I sent her an audition tape, and it's one of those small little victories. It means that there's not a void out there. There is a void, but there isn't. And I can only assume that I wasn't wrong in my instinct, and I wasn't wrong to, converse, even if it was in an email, humanly, and say, hey, remember, and I know you, and you're cool, and anyway, I'm ready to rock if you want to see me again. And boom, she saw me again. Now, I definitely don't know what's happened with the first audition. It doesn't look good because it's not, it's the weekend, and it was a Thursday deadline. So while I was fixating on one at a time, two came in, and this brings me to the point I am getting back to, which is, this is how I want it to be, because you have to audition, you have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to love, you have to cry, you have to enjoy life and go to work at your survival gig, and you have to write, and you have to make steps with your one-man show, and you have to do your YouTubing, and you have to do your social media. You have to do it all, and you don't have the luxury of fixating. And I guess that's a welcome lesson that I just sort of had to have relearned. And I think it's part and participle of me being just obviously more proactive, taking a little more, a little more relish in the idea that you can't fuck me up more than I fucked myself up, and I'm not gonna fuck myself up anymore. And it not being life or death is another big reminder. And also, I'm a people person. I had a good read. We had a vibe. My friend is cool. I'm not asking for too much. I'm just putting it out there. And things are starting to come back in that reflection of me having, I guess, a more positive, proactive kind of outlook. And hopefully I can pour that into my work, because I am now, looking for places to read it, even if it's a living room, and places to try it out. It seems to be that people don't want to read 30 pages of a document, and I guess that is a big ask. I think I may have to do a hybrid of a reading in the living room with the laptop, and my buddy in Florida who very graciously said he'd love to hear it. So I don't know that I do a one-on-one, but I can add him to the mix. We have so many options these days, and I'm not a Luddite, but I have embraced what technology I can sort of muster. But it's an exciting time. You panic about AI taking over. You panic about contraction of the streaming wars. You panic about being replaced and not having ever sort of gotten where you wanted to get. That's the scary part for me. And yet, I have the means of production to knock these self tapes out, to put a friend on a Zoom, to read my one man show, to communicate. It's actually, you know, a wonderful time. And I guess, not to put to, the fear of staying humble or not being humble enough, but I've had a good week in the scan in the big picture of how it's been going for so many of us, and 2 auditions, and then sitting down to do this tape, and to recount to you, and having made that connection with a very decent, very prominent casting person. And I think whether the feedback comes back, because that's the issue, obviously booking would be the ultimate feedback. I know that I did the best I could. I took a risk in both of them. I used props. My character in one of them was a lush, so I had iced tea and I was slugging it back in the audition. And I think the rule of thumb, they say, as long as it doesn't look goofy, use your instinct. This second one, I took a risk, and I have to live with it. But I put a badge on a pea coat to look like a 30s 40s policeman, because they wore the big overcoats with the double-breasted kind of thing, kind of like Untouchables. And a lot of people would say, don't do the badge, and they're probably right. But there's also a guy who put a badge on who booked it. So again, these are all risks. The big risk would be, I boasted on my abilities, tried to remind her how dope I was. She's given me this self-tape. It's for a smaller project on her docket, a short film. But she's testing to see if I put in a good tape, I think. And, it's just the holistic look at this. And it doesn't mean that I've had to back burner my show, which is why I'm here to talk to you. But I think if the next session starts to evolve, it's literally a weekly check-in with myself, a weekly accountability session, and maybe just a way to put some words out in space so that the positive thoughts become positive words. And clearly now I'm starting to make some positive actions. So, if you'd known me in my darker days, you'd be saying this dude had a lobotomy. But someday you all, or I all, or someday you get tired of being a mope, and I'm feeling pretty good, and I dare say it now. And I want to thank you, the few and the few and the mighty, who might take a look. That this was Session8. This is Carl D here, in the nebulous gray background, and feeling good, and hopefully you are too. All right, peace.